morning traders, Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to TradeZone's Asian session update for Monday the 9th of January. So we had a pretty interesting first week of trade last week, and it capped off with a bit more confusion, I'll be honest with you. So look, before we start, we'll get on to what we normally do. So please subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date with all of our latest updates and analysis. So we have a mix of analysts during the week, and it incorporates myself and some guest analysts that come in to help as well. So this keeps everything fresh and interesting for the viewer. So if you are enjoying what we put out, please feel free to subscribe and stay up to date with what we're releasing. So we'll get into basically Friday. So I don't know everything. I never pretend to. I'm not a big fundamental trader, and I don't, try and dissect everything fundamentally. I know a lot of traders out there do base a lot of their trading decisions off the fundamentals, but yeah, myself, I'm primarily more focused on technicals. So with that out of the way, there's a reason for that, and sometimes things get confusing, especially for the reasons that are put forward for certain moves. Now, if we look at last Thursday, we had the ADP non-farm employment change, which came out stronger. Now, when this came out, we saw a big higher move on the US dollar, and we saw risk markets come off a bit. So it wasn't the case. We can see here that stock indexes came off and risk currencies came off. Now, this sort of set the tone to suggest that if we saw higher than expected non-farm payrolls data, we could see a bit more of the same. And this is on the back of the minutes where rates are expected to continue to go up, but the pace or the size of the rates increases may be a bit smaller. But we had a bit of a curveball on Friday night after the non-farm payroll data, where we had a higher than expected non-farm payroll data. So and unemployment also dropped, but we had weaker average hourly earnings. Now, Canadian data went up as well. So you would have thought after Thursday's data, this might suggest that we'd see further gains from the USD, but this wasn't the case. So we had the USD collapse, and we had some amazing rallies on the stock indices, and we had some high moves on risk currencies as well. So there's a bit of a U-turn here, and I found it a bit surprising, but it is what it is, and you just have to play it as it comes out. So as I just mentioned before, it caught me by surprise. If you have any reasons, or if you can tell me exactly why we saw a reversal in sentiment, I'd love to hear your reasons, because based on Thursday, I would have thought we would have seen more of the same if we saw data like that, which basically moved in the same direction. So without really, continuing to show how confused I am, I'll let you know that markets, as you probably would have seen already, I would hope you have, markets reacted very differently. So as stated, we saw a bit of a move on the US dollar after the data, but then markets just came off, and we saw a very strong move down, getting close to past midway point of the range here. And now I suppose the next thing we'll be looking to see is if USD selling continues, will we see a move back to that 103.40 support? And if we break that level, there's a decent support area here. It goes back to June 2022. Will that continue this downtrend, and will we see further lows? But we will need to see a move from price to get back down to this level first, test it and break it, and then we'll be looking to see if we can get down to levels not seen, really, just let me zoom out on that. We'll need to then just see if levels can drop back to, some of these levels not seen since April. But first things first, we need to see sellers get back down to this level and break it. So as noted, there was a bit of a shock light to end the week last week. So we also had the ISM services PMI come in worse than expected at 49.6, but I don't think that's going to offset, all of the sentiment from the NFP if that was the case. So very interesting end to the week for sure. So some of the stock market, some of the stock indices saw amazing sessions. So we can see the DAX here broke above this point at 14,608, and we saw the US 30 break above that range here at 33,445, and that does look like a breakout now. But again, we still are in this downtrend here, but the trend definitely has been broken, and we can see that here. So I'd like to see now if buyers can follow up and push further. And weekly wise, it still does look good. We did do a report on the US 30 on the weekly, and we can see that this trend is continuing to show signs of developing, and we want to keep an eye on that to see if price can get back up to this resistance point here. If we can see a break above this resistance level here and above this level here, that could be signaling that we could be a new up legs underway, and we could see a new attempt to move back up to 36,457. So we can see here this corrective phase that we all saw last year, but definitely now things are starting to look a little bit more aligned with the bulls on the weekly chart. So quite interesting sentiment at the moment, and we're going to continue to keep an eye on that one to see if it continues to grow. Now the ASX this morning is off to a really nice start, as you'd expect after some solid gains overseas on Friday, and we're seeing a 0.93% gain at this stage. The DJ New Zealand is, I think it's trading at this point. No, it is trading, sorry, just hadn't updated. It's 1.46% higher, and the ASX has continued to rocket up after it's open. It's now 1.63% higher. So it's very strong moves there for the ASX, and we can see that here with this solid trend break. So again, yeah, some nice positive signs this morning so far on stock indices, and the other, not too many futures are trading at the moment, but we can see the NASDAQ is open, and we can see it's not looking as great as the Dow, but it's definitely bounced off this support down at 106.70, and it's testing this range resistance, at mini range resistance at 11,046. So we'd like to see a break above this to show that buyers have control. And the SPX 500, a little bit more healthy, but not as healthy as the US 30 at this stage. It is, testing and has traded above this range resistance at 3890. So just take a look over at the JPN 225. So we did speak about this support point here. So buyers have bounced off that support point, and we are seeing a nice move up, but the situation is quite different on the JPN 225. It's definitely not as healthy as, say, the US 30 at the moment. And while we are seeing some good signs here, maybe it would be good to see one pullback and then a move higher, just to signal that there is a confirmation that a new up leg is underway. So gold had a fantastic Friday. We're seeing some high prices this morning. So after that Thursday sell-off, we're seeing some very strong prices. We'd like to see a break at this level at 1876. And oil hasn't started trading just yet, but it had a pretty mundane end to the week. We saw that chop still continues, and with oil at the moment, if we did see a move back lower, we'd hope to see support come back in at that 71.54. But then, it's really up to buyers now to sort of, try and move the market higher. There is still a little bit of indecision in the market. You can see just here on Friday, after that rally up, it failed to really get going, and it's still under 2 heavy days of selling. But we are seeing a different shape now. It doesn't look like, just a really well-formed downtrend anymore, because we have this low put in here that hasn't been tested yet. So some of the things we're keeping a look at price-wise so far. Currencies at this stage, the majors finished very well against the USD on Friday, and we can see the Aussie here is testing resistance this morning, and the Euro, we can see that nice rally on Friday. So we'd like to see if the Euro can break above this congestion, just to show that this trend is going to continue. And for the pound at this stage, we are seeing a small trend break and would like to see if we can see a new leg higher here just to confirm that trend break. So the yen, those things were mixed against the yen early, but we are seeing a bit more buying now. Again, similar story to the AUD USD. We want to see a range break here, and I won't go over them just so we keep this video a good time. So the dollar yen is interesting this morning as well. We've seen that strong fall after testing this high here, and we want to see now if sellers can continue to push lower, and if we do see a move back down to this level at 130.71, if sellers can continue to push momentum on their terms. So this week we'll just have a quick look at what's coming up this week. Now we have a bank holiday in Japan today. Tuesday we have the governor of the Bank of Canada speaking, and we have early Wednesday morning at 1 AM we have Fed Chair Powell speaking, and we have Australian CPI also on Wednesday at 11:30, and we have US CPI data coming out on Friday at 12:30 AM, which is Thursday basically in the States, so it's 8:30 AM Eastern Standard Time. Now CPI in the US is expected to come out at 0.0%, and the year-on-year 6.5%, and the core CPI at 0.3%. So they'll be, under the current circumstances and current comments from the Fed, I think the markets will be looking at that US CPI with a bit of interest as normal, just to see how things are tracking with CPI, and if the rate rises have started to take an effect and starting to do what they're intended to do. So, and then on, just to cap it off, on Friday we have UK GDP, which is expected to come in at -0.3%, and we have prelim UOM consumer sentiment out of the US, and it's expected to come in slightly higher than the last data at 60.6. So we'll cap it off with, we'll wind this up this morning with cryptos. Cryptos continue to push those recoveries. We're seeing some more triple-digit gains this morning. The weekend trade was pretty good as well, and we're seeing some currencies are continuing to really push higher. So it's good signs here. We can see BNB is doing very well for the previous week, and we can see Ethereum as well. Bitcoin is lagging, to put it nicely. It's not really finding too much demand. We're seeing some better gains on some of the smaller coins at this stage. So Solana is back up to this getting close to this resistance point here. Really would like to see a break of that resistance to show some firm buyer control, and we're seeing some good gains on Avalanche, and Canando as well is having a pretty good run at the moment as well. So some of the other smaller coins are the crowd favorites like Doge. They're not really showing some of the buy momentum that we're seeing on other coins, but they are giving it a go. And Polkadot, for instance, is grinding along as well quite nicely. So we'll continue to see if this crypto rally will continue. It would be nice to see a little bit more driver momentum from Bitcoin, but at the moment it is sort of just grinding higher. So don't be surprised if we do continue to see a bit more chop on the crypto markets, and it does continue to accumulate after that big shock that we saw last quarter, third quarter last year after FTX. So that's really what's going on this morning, and the CPI data is definitely the one to keep an eye on this week from a US point of view. So we will wrap it up here. I hope you have a great week trading, and please, if you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like to talk to us about, feel free to get in contact with us. And again, have a fantastic week and good trading, and thanks very much for tuning in, and bye for now.